So welcome back to Studio 995 Kumasi. Earlier, I introduced to you my co-anchor in Eugene Osei-Tutu. And at this point in time, we would like to whet your appetite as to what to expect from us here in the Ashanti region as we go to the polls tomorrow. Allow me to introduce you our panel who will be helping us with the discussion right now. I have Dr. Ali Nyaba. He is with the History and Political Studies Department, KNUST. Doc, good evening to you and good to have you on our set tonight. And also with us tonight is Professor Martin Akote. He's a rector for the Valley View University and a governance expert as well. Gentlemen, good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
So at this point in time, we'd like to whet the appetite of our audience. We wanted to have a feel of what to expect here in the Ashanti region as we go to the polls tomorrow. Now, I'll go to Eugene Osei-Tutu. We've put something wonderful and amazing together for you. Eugene, just give us a general overview of what the Ashanti region looks like when it comes to these elections. Give us some general overview.
Well, David, let me go to the smart wall and take you to the Ashanti region. So this is the Ashanti region as we have it. Now, when you go to the Ashanti region, you will notice that it has 47 constituencies in this region. So these are all the 47 constituencies that we have in Ashanti region. Currently, as you can see from the map, the MPP holds the blue seat, as we have it. The NDC holds the green seat, and there's one which is light blue. That is the independent seat in Fomena. The MPP holds 42 of the seats. The NDC holds 4, and also one independent in Fomena, making 47. Now, the Ashanti region is quite key when it comes to politics. It's because of its numbers. Since 1970, this region had been the most populous region until the 2021 Housing and Population Census of the Ghana Statistical Service, where Greater Accra overtook it. And we all know what happened in 2020 because of COVID-19 and migration, so people couldn't go back. That also reflected in the voter roll of the last election, where the Greater Accra became the most populous region when it comes to voter register. The Ashanti region in 2020 had some 3,020,000 registered voters. Currently, it has 3,295,274, representing about 9.11% increase compared to 2020. David, that statistic is important because when you look at Ghana general voter roll, from 17 million to about 18.8 million, you notice that the increase about 10.23%. So it tells you that the enthusiasm to register in Ashanti region was far less than the national average. Now, again, that is also gleaned from the NCCE data, what they call willingness to vote, where the national index was 81.8%, but Ashanti region was doing just about 81.2%. And that statistic is important because enthusiasm to register on the voter roll can reflect in how willing they are to vote or how willing they are not to vote. That is apathy. And talking about apathy, when you look at the Ashanti region, it presents a very interesting dynamic. Let me take you back to 2012. When you go back to the Ashanti region in 2012, you notice a very interesting thing. Now, let me pick my pen. Let me select my colors and take you through some journey. In 2012, the voter turnout for the national election was just about 79.43%. But when it comes to the Ashanti region, the turnout was 84.5%. This is 2012. Let's go to 2016 and see what happened. When you go to 2016, again, the national turnout was 69.3%, whilst the Ashanti region did 75.5%. Now let's go to 2020 and see whether the trend follows. In 2020, the national turnout was 79%, and Ashanti region did 83%. So that confirms to you that in Ashanti region, they tend to have a higher voter turnout than the national average. So if you're having a register enthusiasm less than the national average, then it means that our voter turnout may go down. And also juxtaposing with the NCCE data. So that is some interesting characteristic for you in the Ashanti region. And particularly for the MPP, this may be why they are very enthusiastic in the region, why the Vice President spent 15 days here, why the NDC is also top Aprachiki are in the region campaigning.
And we'll come back to these, figures in a bit. But I like the way you put it. Now, we know that, like you rightly said, the Vice President kept coming to the Ashanti region. At a point in time, he spent 15 straight days in the Ashanti region. We also had the gurus from the, NDC also, coming in and out. We know Felix Fosukwachi was here, Kujotop was here. Let's go in detail. Why is Ashanti region key to this, elections?
Well, David, Ashanti region is key because of the volume of votes that it gives the various political parties, for example. So when you look at Ashanti region, for example, the MPP always get about 1.8 million votes in this region. Now, if I take you to the presidential constituency in 2020, and you look at the vote the MPP garnered, for example, they garnered almost 1.8 million. Also, when you look at the NDC, aside the Greater Accra region, the region that gave them the most votes is the Ashanti region, some 653,000 votes, and also 1.3 million votes in the Greater Accra, even more than the Volta region, where they got 606,000. So, David, this is basically what I mean. When you go to Greater Accra, the NDC, let me take my pen. The NDC got 1.3 million votes. The next region that gave them the most votes will be the Ashanti region, where they garnered some 653,000, as I said. The next region is the Volta region. So it tells you that the Ashanti region is key for both political parties. And the MPP is focused in the Ashanti region because historically, when 10 people in Ashanti region go to vote, they get 7 of their votes. And if they're able to get that, they have a higher propensity of winning the elections. The NDC also believes that since 96, they've not managed to cross the 30th mark, because in 96 they did 32%. The best they've done so far since then is 28%. So they believe that if they also cross the 30% threshold, and based on how huge the region is, 3.2 million votes, they can be able to get close to going to the Jubilee House.
Dr. Linyama, let me rope you into our conversation now. So we all know that, like I said a while ago, the flag bearer, or no, the presidential candidate for the MPP spent some number of days in the Ashanti region. And they're crisscrossing the country and coming to the Ashanti region. They've told us that they're targeting about 85% of votes in the Ashanti region. Now, the best they've done was 77% in 2004. But this time around, they're saying they're targeting 85%. Now, if you listen to the NDC, they're also saying that, well, they are targeting some 32%. And then when I spoke to Shamima Muslim on Love in the Morning, she also mentions that, well, they're even targeting 35%. What I want to know from you is this. The NPP has never made 85% before. The best they've done is 77%. The NDC has done 32% before. That was in 1996. But this time around, they're saying not just 32%, but they're targeting 35%. These targets they've set for themselves. What do you make of it?
Yeah, thank you. But I'm sorry, but it looks like both political parties are overly ambitious and not quite realistic with their expectations. But, you know, it's right to do that in politics because you need to give your voters hope. You need to make your supporters know that you are winning so that they will all rally around to support you towards victory. But realistically, it is quite difficult, if not impossible, for them to make such percentages and numbers. Honestly, I think in terms of numbers, I'm not expecting Ashanti region to do it. This is the first time I'm expecting that Ashanti region may not be able to do a higher percentage than the national average, because if you analyze the two candidates properly, I don't expect Ashanti region electorates to have the enthusiasm to go out in their numbers. So in terms of numbers, I expect a reduction. In terms of percentage, if you juxtapose it with the national average, I expect it to reduce. But the perspectives of both parties, like seeking for more than 30 and more than 80, that is quite unrealistic. I think that the NDC think that this is the best time to make inroads into the Ashanti region, and I don't begrudge them if they are seeking to get usually the percentages that will help them to win elections. That is the 30 or beyond 25 mark. And the MPP, on the other hand, for instance, you know, because they know Ashanti region is a very reliable stronghold, like Eugene mentioned. If you take 10 people going to vote, you will get at least 6 to 7 people voting for the MPP. So why don't we spend time here? We are assured that if people go out in their numbers to vote, we are going to get numbers in real terms. So I expect the MPP's percentage to also reduce. To reduce? Yes.
Now, from what you're saying, and you touched a bit on voter apathy, are you therefore suggesting that even as at 2020, they had a 83% voter turnout, you're saying that this year, 2024, they will not attain this figure?
Exactly. Ashanti region is not likely. The reason is simple. You know, Bawumia came with a lot of enthusiasm that did not only affect Ashanti region in 2016. And the kind of hope that the young people especially had in him to turn things around. He claims not to have been in power as president, but people actually had trust in what he did and what he could do to support the government if they came to power in 2016 and even 2020. So they are not too excited about what he has been able to do.
But isn't that true?
To do so far, despite his excuses. Mahama too have had a chance to be president before, so it's not like it is something new. So both of them have been assessed by the electorates. They have not proven to be the wows that they are trying to create in our minds with their campaigns. So they haven't wowed anybody. The young people, the electorates in general, are not so enthused about something dramatically happening with any of the electorates. That is why I don't see people coming out to increase the voter turnout by more than the 83%.
What do you think will happen tomorrow?
Yeah, people will come out to vote, but not as much as they even did in 2020.
You said that it's not possible for the NPP to get the target of 85% that they have,
not at all.
Spoken about. What about that of the NDC? They've done 32% before in 96.
Yeah, 96 is an outlier. If you put it into perspective and you look at the nature of the country at that time, the Rawlings's time, you understand, from the military regime. Yeah, despite the fact that Ashanti region were not so excited about the military, the effects of the military regimes on the region, Rawlings was a very popular figure, a uniquely popular figure. You may not like some of the things that he did, but he is uniquely popular than any of the candidates who have represented the NDC after him. So, and then you see, it was just the second time we were voting in Ghana. So the dynamics are quite different. It's more realistic to look at the figures from 2000, at least, from when Kufuor came. If you look at the percentages, margins, I think you can make predictions there. But the 92, 96 are quite outliers.
Professor Akote, you share a different view, or you agree with what Dr. Ali Nyaba is saying?
I'm almost in line with what Dr. is saying, in the sense that the targets seem to be too optimistic. But then, that notwithstanding, there is a variable that needs to be considered. That is the vice presidential candidate. The question is, what is he bringing along? That is a factor that we will have to watch closely.
Do you have an idea as what he's bringing along? Do you have any idea about it?
I believe that definitely coming from this region, he should add something. Even though the 85% is unattainable, it's not possible. But then he will definitely bring along certain increments into the picture.
So we've talked about voter apathy. And, when Alan Chamati of Movement for Change even visited, His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Setutu II, Otumfuo mentioned it. Now, listen, the political, leaders should be concerned about voters because voter apathy is quite high. You have said that they are not going to turn out in such a way that they'll be making 83% like they've done in the past. In these same elections that's taking place tomorrow, we have two key people on the ballot. We have Alan Chamati, who broke away from the NPP and has formed the Movement for Change. We also have Nana Kwame Bediako, the new force, on the ballot tomorrow. How do you think they will fare? And in how they will fare, who is going to suffer the most? Will it be the NDC or the NPP? What's your view?
All right, thank you very much. I think that these other candidates are really going to churn out some of the votes, I think, from the NPP. I see NDC voters as people who really will not want to mess up with their votes. But then for the NPP, Alan and then this guy, all also coming from this region, they are also going to chop out some of their votes. And definitely, I believe NPP will be suffering a little bit from them.
The MPP will suffer a little bit from there.
Yes.
Well, I would like for us to take a trip, to some of the key constituencies in the Ashanti region, and then talk about how they will be faring, the constituencies, how they'll be faring in tomorrow's election. But before we do that, my colleague Nade Ojima is on cue at the regional EC's office, and I'd like to engage with him a bit. Nade, if you can hear me, good evening.
Good evening, David.
Hello, Nanayo, can you hear me?
David, you are very audible here.
All right, so Nanayo, you are at the EC's office tonight. What is happening there? From your engagements with them, how ready are they for tomorrow's elections?
From what I'm seeing here and the engagement I've had with the EC officials, they are set for tomorrow's election. Behind me are some of the officials and party agents going through the final stages of the sorting of the ballot materials here at the EC headquarters. Presently, I stand I'm in front of ballot materials for 4 constituencies. That is the Nshaeso constituency, the Bantama constituency, the Mensha North and South constituencies. All of them have their materials being sorted out here. As you can see, the EC officials are those leading the sorting of the materials, and some party agents are here to observe the process and come in when the need be. As you can see, a lot of the materials have already been sorted and they are ready to be dispatched to the various polling stations tomorrow morning. And the gentleman you see there is an NDC agent here at the EC's office. What he's basically doing is that he's writing out the serial numbers on the locks that the NDC has put on these ballot boxes. You see, the NDC and the EC both have locks on the ballot boxes. So each box has about 4 locks, 2 for the EC and 2 for the NDC. Unfortunately, the NPP didn't put any lock on the ballot boxes here within the Kumasi Metropolis. So 4 different constituencies here, their materials have already been sorted out, and very soon, when all is done, these materials will be put in some vehicles that are parked outside, and we'll have these vehicles being manned by police and other security men, so that by tomorrow morning, as early as 5 a.m., I understand that the EC officials and other interested parties in this election will come here and dispatch these materials to the various polling stations for the election to commence. Earlier, I spoke to the EC director in the Ashanti region, Mr. Osensi, and according to him, they are all set for tomorrow's election. As you can see, his men are on the grounds trying to ensure that things are put in their proper places. Before coming to this place, this office, I went through the Ascori Mampon EC office and other EC offices within the districts of Ashanti region. And what I can report to you is that all of the offices that I've been to so far, they are all going through the same process. So it is believed that by 6 a.m. all these materials should be in the polling stations for the election to commence exactly at 7 a.m. So from what I'm seeing and from what I've been hearing from the EC, it looks like they are set, prepared for the election tomorrow, and it's expected that Ashanti region will start on time.
Of us, we all know that the Ashanti Regional, EC's office is supposed to be the regional collation center. How does the setup look like at the EC's office?
Unfortunately, I've not gotten access to this coalition center, but I'm told by the EC officials that all is set. They've been able to set the place up for the coalition in the Ashanti region. If I'm to believe what they are telling me, it means that they are set for the whole process. But going to some of the offices that I've been to so far, the Ascori Mampon office to be precise, they've already brought in new lights. The place is lighted up. Everywhere is very bright and clear. And it's part of the processes for the collation of the results that will trickle in tomorrow. Now, if you go in there, I understand that there's a generator which is going to back up the national grid system, so that anytime that the lights may go off, in an unlikely event that this should happen, these backup generators come in and stand in to provide electricity for the whole process. Also, if you go to the Ascari Mampong, they've cleared all the weeds around the EC office, fixed the bulbs around the EC office, and they are trying to ensure that all are in place for the collation of that particular district, the results from that particular constituency. I can say that similar things are being done in some of the collation centers that I've been to. The EC has also assured that in the regional collation center, all is set for tomorrow's election. So if I'm to trust the EC on the regional collation center, I can say that they are set. And also, from what I've seen in some of the constituencies, the EC is set for the collation of results from the constituency level through to the region.
Nani Ojima, he's my colleague, and he is, pitch camp at the EC's regional office, and has told us that the EC indeed looks ready for tomorrow's elections. Now, to continue with our discussions, we want to take our audiences to some key constituencies. We want to take you to some key constituencies in the Ashanti region, constituencies where you will be interested and delighted about what is happening there or what might happen there tomorrow. One of such constituencies is a new Edubiase constituency. Now, it's been a safe seat for the NDC up until 2016, when they flipped from the NDC to the MPP. And then interestingly, the NDC was able to recapture that seat in 2020. Eugene, what more can you tell our audience about this new Edubiase constituency?
Well, David, the new Edubiase seat is a very interesting one. And they say the data lies in the detail.
Yeah.
So when you look at the trends of the new Edubiase, this is what you see. So there we can clearly see, and Dr. Ali talked about how formidable President Rawlings was as an NDC candidate, and how Prof. Mills, John Mahama, and the likes who come after have not really pulled their weight when you compared his performance to them. Now, in 1996 in New Edubiase, you can clearly see that the NDC was getting at least 7 out of 10 votes in New Edubiase for both presidential and parliamentary elections. But over time, you can clearly see that they struggled to even get 60%, except in 2008, where they got 61.2% in the presidential election. Now, in 2016, there was an outlier where they lost the seat to the MPP's George Odro, who they are retaining as the candidate for 2020. So you can clearly see that the 2016 happening was an outlier. And per my checks, there were some internal parties. And then we know that most of such happenings happen particularly in the Ashanti region. We've seen, for example, what happened to the MPP in the Fomena constituency and all that. So clearly, this is how the new Edubiase vote. But the story is that the NDC is losing its hold from about averaging 7 out of 10 votes in New Edubiase for presidential and parliamentary. Now they are just doing about 5 out of 10. And clearly tells you that the MPP is quite performing, and it will be one of the cliffhangers to look out for in the Ashanti region.
Let the trends remain for our viewers to also take their time to go through it and appreciate what we have put on the screens for them. This is our smart wall, and we'll be sharing more details of information and data, with our viewers. Now, Dr. Ali Nyaba, would you agree with Eugene when he says, for example, that it was an outlier in 2016 when the NPP was able to snatch the seat from, the NDC? And of course, we all know that in 2020, as the data shows there, the NDC was able to snatch it back. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow going into the elections? Will the NDC maintain it, or the MPP can cause another surprise?
Yes, it was an outlier because the electorates in New Edubiase were actually fed up with the candidate. The party did not heed to their calls, and then they decided to vote him out. And then the MPP took advantage and then won the seat. They reworked and then brought Abdul Salam, and then he won the seat in 2020, although not too wide a margin. And the last time I spoke to a few people in New Edubiase, they were like, it's not like Abdul Salam have been overly fantastic, especially that the fact that the MPP candidates have been given resources to continue to do things that will convince the electorates, but they still believe Abdul Salam will edge him slightly, although he will not be overwhelmingly supported in the constituency like it had been in the early stages or in 2008. He will win by a few margin. Yeah, so I am very optimistic that NDC will still retain the new Edibiase seat. It's not a seat that...
Professor Akote, you think that there's no way that the MPP can, snatch the seat again?
Well, I am of the view that the NPP is not going to sit by to watch that seat slip away. And for that reason, I believe that they will be undertaking a lot of projects over there. And he mentioned, Doctor mentioned the role projects played in MPP snatching that seat. I believe they are going to, or they have done a lot of projects. So it is really a place to be watching.
Even looking at the percentages they got in the last elections?
Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
I hear you. At this point, I would like to cross over again and take a trip to the MPP regional office where Emmanuel Brad Kweku is on standby. Emmanuel, if you can hear me, what is happening at the MPP's regional office?
When it comes to the NPP regional office, not so much is actually happening here at the NPP regional office. Precisely at where Baumia's office is. We understand at the NPP regional office, nothing really is happening. So we came here and we dashed quickly here to ascertain what was happening. And just about an hour ago, some of the party executives or officials have just concluded meetings, and they have left this particular premises to every constituency they have been deployed to ensure that this particular election in the Ashanti region, they are able to maintain what they deem as appropriate or right for them. And as you may recall, in the last elections, the NPP managed to garner some 44 constituencies out of these 43 constituencies out of the 47 that we have in the region. And so they asked the spokesperson for Baumia rightly addressed the nation just a while ago. The party executives here say they are firm. They are ensuring that the party agents who will be going to the polling centers across the polling centers in the Ashanti region do well to stay firm, and they are very vigilant in ensuring that every ballot in the region is protected. And so, David, when you come here, not really much has happened, and most of them have left. And from what I gather, the party officials, the regional executives are telling me that they are firm. They are going to ensure that every vote in the Ashanti region that is supposed to be for the NPP would certainly be for them, and nothing untoward would happen to them. And so, David, this is what is currently happening here at the Baumia office at Asokwa precisely.
We'll be coming back to you for more in no time. But as we continue with our conversations and analysis of some key constituencies here in the Ashanti region, I'd like to take you, our viewers, to the Sechafram Plains. And, the Sechafram Plains is a very interesting area because for the past 2 weeks or so, myself and Eugene have been engaging with some key personalities there, both from the MPP divide or the MPP side and, of course, the NDC side. Now, when it comes to the NDC side, they had a bit of some kind of misunderstanding. There wasn't peace in there, but we learned that they've smoked the peace pipe and are ready for tomorrow's elections, aren't they?
Yeah, David, when it comes to the Sechafram Plains constituency, the story begins in Kumawu, where in 2012, the constituency was cut from the Kumawu constituency. And there's a certain gentleman from Kumawu, we all know, quite popular, finance minister, former governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Kwabena Dufour. Now, he was very key in the creating of this constituency called Sechafram Plains. Now, when the constituency was created in 2012, the people wanted him to be the young member of parliament. But the Dufour family actually brought his younger brother, Alex Adomaku Mensah, to be the member of parliament. Now, David, he's been a seat that they've won comfortably since 2012. But in 2020, something happened in Sechafram Plains, where Alex Adomaku Mensah nearly lost the seat and won with just about 160 votes, less than 200. Now, David, the reason why Dr. Dufour is influential here it's not because he was influential, just influential in the creation of the constituency, but because he has a lot of farm, lot of plantation, teak plantations here. And in fact, I'm told he employs most people in this area. Such a farm place is typically a settler community. Now, David, in analyzing the constituency, we cannot do so without a certain gentleman called Donko Fuseni, who is a former DCE. Now, he's important because when you go to such a farm place, there are three minority or groups that are very key. The Goma ethnic group, largely made up of Kokombes, the Moli Dagbani, largely made up of Dagombes, and the Akan ethnic group, which is the third. So, in such a farm plains, though in Ashanti region, it's not Akan that is the majority group. It is the Goma and the Moli Dagbani that are majority. Now, Fuseni Donko comes from the Goma ethnic group, which is the largest ethnic group, and contested Alex Adomaku Mensah in 2020 and lost. So he pulled the support from the gentleman. You can clearly see that he nearly lost the seat to 200 because in 2012, he won comfortably. When you look at the margins, he won comfortably about almost 4,000 difference. In 2016, the story was no different. It was a bit comfortable. Now, David, the reason why I say the parliamentary was because of Alex Adomaku Mensah is because when you juxtapose this difference to that of his presidential candidate, you can clearly see a trend. John Mahama had a decent difference of about 2,800, whilst his parliamentary candidate won with just 160 votes. So clearly, there's an issue for Alex Adomaku Mensah where the people they don't want him. Now, during the NDC primaries, he contested. There was also a colleague of Professor Ali, Professor Brennan, who contested. There was Dr. Dufour's son, so he actually contested his uncle in the contest, and a businesswoman called Hajia Nasira Afram. Now, Hajia Nasira Afram won the primaries with 211, and the closest contender was Dr. Dufour's son, 208. So clearly, they needed to be some closing of ranks. Per my checks and what I'm told, those reconciliations have been done because Dr. Dufour is seen as the arrowhead. The Dufour family has controlled the city of DCS. Hajia Nasira also has the necessary resources, and the Donko Fuseni factor is back, where Donko Fuseni has publicly endorsed her candidature and campaigning for her. Now, Hajia Nasira is also a Akan, but a Muslim. So if you look at the ethnic dynamics I gave you and the identity politics in such areas, it clearly tells you that the NDC is likely to contain the seat. But the MPP candidate, David, is very strong. One, George Akom is an information and security system analyst. He's a lecturer. And he has some decent also resources and doing some groundwork in there.
Now, before we analyze, this Sesha from Plains area with our panel, let's go to the NDC regional office where Nana Boashi Yadom is on standby. Nana, if you can hear me, good evening to you. And what can you share with us tonight?
Well, Dave, I am currently live from the Ashanti Regional NDC head office here in the in Amekum. Not long ago, about just 2 minutes ago, the director of the NDC's elections, from Dr. Manebuama, just joined the vehicle, leaving the NDC office after engaging with some party executives here at the regional office. And I can see the regional communicator, Abbas Nuruddin, is also in here. And I would want him to share a few words with us about preparations so far in the Ashanti region.
Well, I would say we are fully prepared for tomorrow. Our agents have been deployed. Various monitoring teams are on ground. And we are very much sure that the NDC will put a very good showing in tomorrow's election. We are picking snippets of information of some attempts by the MPP to try to smuggle illegal ballot papers in order to staff the ballot tomorrow in some particular areas. We have our radar. These areas have been put under our surveillance. People are watching them 24/7, and we are sending a word of caution that we cannot guarantee the security or safety of anybody or any vehicle moving with illegal ballot stuff. We are very much vigilant. We have our eyes fairly fixed on the ball, and barring any last-minute glitches, we will put up a very good showing from tomorrow.
Thank you very much. And David, that is the Ashanti Regional Communications Officer for the National Democratic Congress, Abbas Nuruddin, saying that they have their eyes on the ball when it comes to the Ashanti region. Well, this place is very busy, David, because today seems to be this time seems to be the very last time that They will be gathered here. They are all moving to the various constituencies and polling centers that they've been stationed to. And so they are aiming to have their last words with the party executives. As I said earlier, Dr. Mane Boama, Director of Elections for the NDC, came in not long ago, drove out with Standogwe and some other executives of the NDC in the Ashanti region. And for them, they have their eyes really, really on the ball in the region. And securing 30% of votes is what they are looking out for. And they are going to make sure that any attempt to rig the election in favor of the NPP would fiercely resisted. And these are the words of the NDC's Director of Communication, Abbas Nuruddin. And earlier on, there was a press conference by the national organizer, Joseph Yamin, who was also reiterating their commitment to protect the ballot tomorrow. And so this is what is happening here at the the regional head office of the NDC, David.
Thanks very much for those updates from the NDC's regional office. And back to our analysis. You know what? For our viewers who are watching us, I'm sure you are enjoying the analysis, especially when we have these key constituencies that we are, breaking down for you. We'll continue with these key constituencies tomorrow. We have a Swansea to do, we have a Chimamponua to do for you, plus many other, key constituencies to look at. But as we wrap up our discussions tonight, we just told you about what has happened in the Sechafram Plains. Now, Prof, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? There are occasions where people could have discussions where we say we've smoked peace pipe, that we've patched up, but inwardly they are not. Outwardly they might make you seem and believe that all is well. Having listened to the analysis given to you by Eugene, what do you make of the Sechafram Plains going into tomorrow's elections?
Yes, adding that to your comment, I would say it is too close to call.
That's what you have to say?
It is too close to call, in the sense that if you look at the data before us, and then with all of these background issues and all of that, I think anything is possible. Anything is possible. Yeah.
And indeed, if you look at the 2020 results, very, very close indeed. Yes. Dr. Ali Nyaba, what do you have to say about this, constituency?
If you watch the trend and then you match it with present reality, it appears the NDC will not comfortably win those 4 seats. I'm talking about Aswase, Sechere, Odumase, Ejura Sechere, Dumase, Afram Plains, and then New Edubiase. But I think Sechere Dumase, Sechere Plains seems to be the safest among the 4, if you ask me. Yeah, because the woman does not only have the resources to. She has done a lot. She has done a lot for the people. If you go to the grounds and then you speak to the people, she's personally touched the hearts of many people on the grounds. She's so fortunate to also take advantage of the demographic characteristic. You see, the father is from one of the settler places, and then the mother is an Akan. So by that trend, she is a Northerner by every standard, and then she is an Akan by every standard. So she also, get advantage in that regard. And it looks like among all the forces, like I've already said, the NDC seats in Ashanti
is going to be the safest.
I think Sechafram Plains is the safest because of the candidate. Because of the candidate. Yes.
So we'll say a big thank you to the 2 of you, Professor Akote, and of course to you, Dr. Ali. This has been our election eve coverage. There's more coming up your way tomorrow when you join us, because we have the Swansea constituency to look at, where Mutaka took the seats in 2005. We'll be bringing some more analysis on that constituency tomorrow, plus a few other constituencies like Chimamponua and all. At this point in time, we're crossing over to the Joy newsroom, where Emefa Apau is on standby. Emefa, please, over to you.
I was actually enjoying that conversation between the panelists there. And of course, Eugene Osei, many thanks to the team. And we are looking forward to it all when it goes down to the D-Day, all the way till when we call the elections. Thank you very much, David Akwete and Eugene Osei, and the entire team from Studio 995 from that rooftop in Kumasi. Osei Krom, where I say, well, let's now get ready for the context. That's coming up next with my colleague, Benjamin Akakpo. And guess what? He's bringing on the three wise men. That's the moment that we've all been waiting for right here. I can't wait to see how this smart wall right here in the Joy News studio will be, played with amongst others by the team. We'll take a quick break, and on behalf of the entire team for the election eve, we'll take a quick break as well. And then when we return, Benjamin Akakpo and the team will take over. Many thanks for your company.